Does my smile confuse you or remind you you're here?
So, once again, we're Does My Smile Confuse You? We're doing a new chapter. However, in all the past chapters, I haven't really shared any of my personal history. So, this is just the tip of the iceberg of a long, long, rich life here in basically Los Angeles. But my mother was Lebanese and my father was Italian. And unequivocally, she was the greatest cook in the neighborhood by far. And to just prove that, the best chefs in the world would pick up food from my mom's house to go. She grew her own vegetables. She'd spend 3 or 4 days cooking everything from her kibbe, her grape leaves, her cabbage rolls, Mediterranean food meets Italian food. You can't do much better than that. With much love for my friend who's here again, Jimmy the Greek. Greek food, it runs a close third, fourth. It's right in there, but nevertheless. So this show is called The Fun House because that's what our home was. It was kind of in the Palisades in Los Angeles and the west side of LA. It was European, family European style, where the food was off the chart phenomenal, and an invitation to the Rucco's house was, it's much better than going to the White House. So we had everybody from billionaires, the famous, the infamous, to the beach bums like myself and everything in between that came over for dinner. We had all the various teams I played on: football, basketball, baseball, volleyball. I would bring, giant guys that could pack it, that could really put it away. And my mom loved it because she was the typical Italian mom, even though she was Lebanese. And of course, if I didn't eat 3 or 4 plates of food, just piled as high as you could, well, she would always say, is there something wrong? Is the food not good? And she would never, ever sit down and eat with us. She was one of those old-fashioned moms. She'd watch everybody. It could be 12, 15, 20 people. She'd circle the table and make sure, anybody need more string beans? Anybody need this? I said, Mom, please, come on, sit down, join us. And no, it's impossible. Mom would never join us. Dad would sit, and Dad, up to the age of 102, could out-eat everybody. So we had a very interesting time growing up with a European family in a in a world that is fast food, and nobody wanted to take any time. And then, of course, it led to, after dinner, it led to playing the piano, singing, dancing, playing card games, board games, just a whole different vibe than anywhere else in LA. So everybody came to our little fun house, and they would open up. My mom and dad would listen to everybody's life story, and people would say, just one of the little snippets, they would all say the same thing. Oh, Mrs. Rucco, Mr. Rucco, I never talked like this. I never open up like this. Even my own family, I can't talk to, blah, blah, blah. So it was very important how food was the thing that brought us all together, people that would listen, where a safe haven where you could tell stories, have conversations, and personal stuff would just come out and nobody would hold it against one another. It was really beautiful. And now I want to ask you, Jimmy, did you experience something similar like that at all?
Absolutely, and this was the reason that I am who I am. This is the reason that my brothers, my twin brother, who I adore, and my older brothers. My mom had 2 sets of twins. live their lives, and it's in a non-repetitive way. What's the meaning of life in different cultures? So it would be Sunday morning or Sunday noon. Myself and my brothers would be out the night before, and we would sleep late. And at around noontime,
Which part of the world were we
Athens,
in? Jim?
Athens, Greece. We lived in a
Athens, Greece.
three-bedroom apartment.
To the age of
Three-bedroom-
what time? To the age of what time did you leave?
Oh my God! I was in 8 or 9 with my brother. My older brothers were 10 years
Okay,
older.
Yeah.
So
You're in Athens, yeah.
Athens, 3-bedroom apartment, 1 bathroom, living the life. And then at about noon, the scent would come into the bedrooms because it was a small apartment.
Oh, that's great.
And it would wake us up in a most
Pleasant.
blessing way. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
hear me out. And then I can hear my father's voice. I thought he was angry or cussing or anything, but he was literally talking to the food. So my father would wake up early. He would prep. He would chop this amazing Greek salad, but he would chop it so small. He would have tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, hard-boiled eggs, onions. He would do this concoction of a salad, and then he would wrap it up, put it in the refrigerator. Long story short, this was the Sunday supper, which I have this tradition I've carried here in the States, and Ruko, my best friend, has experienced that in my house. So at around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, people would start showing up,
Yeah.
and the cooking would go on and on and on. People that we haven't even invited, neighbors from the apartment building,
The best.
my older brothers, the girlfriends, and the drinking would start in moderation. And this is, I'm going to put a little parenthesis. This is why I have a hard time after I moved from Greece here,
Yeah,
going to restaurants where they try to serve you within 45 minutes. It's like they keep rounding a table, the first course, the second course, and it's like, please give me some time. Because dinner, and especially Sunday supper, is about being with the ones you love.
Yeah.
It's sharing your week, it's sharing your dreams,
Yeah.
sharing your fears, feeling that you belong with somebody. So in psychology, that feeling that you're surrounded by friends, by relatives, even by strangers that they decide to come up, it is so powerful.
Nothing like it.
It wipes out all your fears and insecurities.
Yeah.
And as it goes late and the dinner kind of wind down, here was the big surprise. It was the Greek music. It was my father's pipe coming out. And then my father, who only spoke Greek, never went to a university. He was a union man. Very proud, very strong.
So is my father.
And I have to say that he would start singing in German and Italian opera. And he would sing opera like there's no
Wait,
tomorrow.
whoa. Singing in German,
And
Italian opera?
Because my father would
That had to
watch
be
television,
horrific.
he would go to the movies, he would listen to the radio, and he would sing it
Bellow
with an
it out?
amazing, with an amazing accent.
Oh, well, wait, I got it. I'm confused. Not with a German accent, I pray.
No,
it-
it was the songs that they were making fun of Mussolini. There were songs of the World War II because he lived both wars, right? And then he would sing Traviata, and I was like,
Oh, God.
my God, this is my father. And these were our Sunday suppers when we were at home.
Right.
Now, there were other Sundays, and I'm not going to take it that long, that we would wake up every morning. My father, as I said in the previous episode, had no car. And a couple of our neighbors, including my uncle, would say, okay, let's go for an excursion, which was so amazing as a kid.
Yeah.
So we'd go to my uncle's car, to our friend's car, and we would drive about an hour and a half outside of Athens
Yeah.
towards the water. And there was these little tavernas. I remember as kids, we would sit underneath these beautiful trees, and we'd go to the taverna, and we would do, don't laugh, the fried bacalao, the garlic sauce, and the
wow.
local wine.
Oh.
And these are the memories that stay in your heart.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, if you go to my twin brother's house, Harry, he's an amazing chef. He would cook all that stuff.
Well, you're
And him
fantastic.
and his dear wife, they were like, we visit them all the time. They live in Greece. They would just put up a show like that.
Your cooking
That's
is like
priceless.
eating my mother's only Greek food. Well, the few times we've had the good fortune of coming over. And you also said something interesting, that your dad would meticulously chop everything. My dad and mom and brother, unlike me, were all perfectionists. And the food, just to your eyes, you know how you see with your eyes first? Now you have the smell, you have the eye, all your senses before you take a bite are so fed that you're literally, you can't wait. The excitement just builds. And people, we had a line outside. And here's what's interesting. You're in Athens, you're talking about Europe, and I'm in Los Angeles on the west side, where most of the kids, we were growing up, they're going at 10, 12, 15 to see psychiatrists. But most of my friends, they were athletes and people I played sports with. But then as we branched out in my 16s and my teens, they would all come over, and then, the actors and all that stuff. So you had conversations, and I think people are starving for this. And I just hope parents out there listen very carefully, this show in particular, because I believe they're longing for it, yearning for it, even though they don't know what they're missing. Put away the equipment. Not just if you want to have just Sunday supper, that's fine, where you sit and everybody is forced to tell stories, talk about it, and don't do just you see it in bad movies. The mother and the father sitting there, oh, so how was your day, son? In other words, you can tell it's contrived. It's not a real parent trying to
Yes.
really delve into what's going on with the children. So we're like freaks. We're dinosaurs.
We are. But I have to say, as like my parents did, and my father, and my mother, and my uncle, my older brothers, as responsible adults that they love their children, they would always initiate the dancing or the singing.
Yeah.
And you've seen it in my house over the years with my farm, when it was amazing. Even when I was married, every Sunday morning I would wake up and go up in the garden with my daughter, and would pick up all the vegetables, and we spend the whole day prepping for the Sunday supper, and everybody would sew up. It's a ceremony.
Yes.
And dinner, I'm Greek Orthodox. It is a holy ceremony, because you share food, which is very important. It's not about prayer. Sometimes people want to pray before they start eating, but it's about thanking God or whoever you believe for providing not only the food in your table, the friendship, the wisdom, the knowledge, the opportunity to be with people and not be alone, like we talked on our past episode. And now ourselves, like you've been in my house, we come for dinner, Sunday supper, I crank the Greek music, we start dancing, we break a couple of plates. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I remember the first time I came to your house. Not only were you and your lady dancing and the music, but if you remember, I said, I don't want to leave. And that's the problem. We had to throw people out of our house, Irina, because they didn't want to leave. And here's a funny part, the back end of the story, is that any day or night, even when I wasn't around, if I was at the beach or I was somewhere, my friends would come by, because it was open house.
Yes.
No locks, no gates, no security. You'd go from one house to another house, and then they'd come over and go, Mrs. Rucco, could you make me that BLT, that sandwich? And my mom, she had 4 refrigerators, okay, in a 2-bedroom house. She had 2 in the garage, 2, and whatever you like to drink, and it could be 30 to 50 people, including my cousins and everything, whatever their particular drink, whatever they liked, she had on hand. Do you realize the shopping that's involved in that?
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
I'm a son of an Italian barber. I don't know how my dad could afford paying for all of this stuff because she kept everything for everybody. And so we were the first Italians on the west side of the Palisades. So everybody said, oh, the Ruccos? Oh, they're in part of the mob.
No,
Yes.
they have the priorities different.
So
that's why
I
we love it.
used that though. I used that. When I went to school, I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "I got a couple cousins. They're hitmen."
Stay
I
away from
used
me.
all of it. Right? Yeah. Just
Stay
to
away
keep.
from me.
So all of it was used. You know, you never resisted. But that's my mom. She could do, and they would, the vegetables, everything was so perfect. It was.
It's amazing, and I'll tell you one more story, and then I won't talk anymore for tonight. And I think I would like to leave at least my part of this discussion to this. I was 7 years old. We leave Athens in the afternoon. Myself, my brother, one of our family friends, was friends with my older brothers. His name was Mimi. Was driving this amazing old Audi, and we thought it was just the prettiest car in the world. Anyway, we're driving. We get to the village and we meet the family, and we get there, 5:30, 6 o'clock. It was windy, it was dark, and we went there uninvited, surprise.
Right.
So our relatives go outside. They said, "Don't worry. Within an hour and a half, Ruko, there was a baby lamb already cooking in the oven, fresh potatoes, fresh vegetables, and the aromas." And I was like 7. At that time, they would say, "Hey, my parents, have a little bit of ouzo or have a little bit of a glass of wine," because alcohol is not a taboo in Europe like it is here.
No, I know. So true.
And then we would have this amazing meal, but the most breathless and mystical experience when I woke up that morning, next morning, I went in the window of my little bedroom and I saw the landscape and the ocean across from it. It was paradise. And this is how life was back in Greece. And this
Yeah.
is how I would like to end at least my part of the discussion.
Well, so when did you first come to the U.S.? How old were you?
I was 19.
For school?
I was
Was
19.
it for school?
I was going to
Medical school?
dental school in Athens, second year. I met my ex-wife, the
Right.
mother of my children, and I visited the U.S.
Since you were 19.
Since I was 19, I was coming back and forth.
And how often do you go back to? Not
I
often
go
enough.
back once or twice a year,
Yeah.
but this is going to change. The older I get, I will go there more often.
Yeah. Well, we miss all of that, and I try and do that wherever I lived. After I left my parents' house, I became the cook, and I had a little beach house I rented, 1 bedroom, right on the water in Malibu. And because of just starting with my family, forget my personality and all the sports and everything, every day and night, people would congregate at my little beach house. So my beach house became so popular that as I made a lot of friends, like I've talked about on one show, but I'll talk more about him. He's just one of my celebrity friends. Will Chamberlain built a infamous house, a circular house that had a moat that went around it that was only 3 feet deep. So if you fell out of a window, chances are you wouldn't drown because of the parties we had. So we moved from my little beach house, fun house, to all the mansions and the bigger homes that my celebrity friends had. And since we have to go eat at our favorite Italian restaurant right down the road, I will continue talking about the parties. We segued from these dinners into a party, and there was they had phone booths in those days, a single phone booth at Will Rogers State Beach. I would go to the phone, make one call. And I had the best looking for friends because the beach attracted this Mecca that I call it, half a mile strip attracted everything. It's where we talked about it, I believe, once before in the show, where they shot Baywatch.
Yes.
Greg Bonin, my friend, carried the idea. He was a lifeguard. He said, Daryl, I got this idea for this and that. We would talk about The Predator, that movie. All these movies were written by guys from the beach. And we had all the stunt guys, Robert Redford, all the best actors. Their stunt guys would all come to the beach. So everything and everyone showed up in this half a mile strip. So I'd make one phone call. I'd say, tonight, so-and-so's house. 1,000 people later, party all night. And that was every single day. That's how amazing it was. And we never had any trouble. No security, no this. Maybe we had a couple guys at the door that were like muscle guys in those days, Gold's Gym or World's Gym. And this is actually prior to Schwarzenegger, to Arnold coming. And just to bait our audience, I'll tell them when Sylvester Stallone moved to the Palisades, I became friends with him through Frank, his brother, who I dearly love, who is, by the way, the funniest human being on earth. He can mock, mimic anybody, and Andrew Dice Clay, he can do voices, everything, because he's also, he's an actor, he's a musician, he's a singer. He's very talented in his own right. Anyhow, so it was funny, my little simple mom and dad having all these celebrities and this and that. And my dad was, like 5'10". And here's Wilt Chamberlain at 7'1", and all these giant guys. My best friend, Charlie, was 340 pounds, the world's strongest man at the time.
Wow.
To be continued. So these dinner stories and parties will really interest people because you'll have to sell it as fiction because they won't believe the stories. And I'm not going to do anything. I don't tell dirt or trash or that part of the story.
No.
And they were crazy different times that we lived through where age didn't matter. You had people from 100 down, you had famous writers, you had all these people that commingled, and it was fascinating. So nobody was ever bored. We had the best music, the best environment, and the best food, and that's what it takes to have a good party. Are you kidding? Hefner and all the Playboy bunnies would come to our parties. Fantastic, fun, and now we can go eat, and I can end the show by...
But before we go eat, I have to do something that I told you before. So you talked about your father.
Yes.
I've talked about my father. You've talked about the great friends that you had. And my father, on all these dinners, he asked only one favor from us. Now I have to give you a little more wine because this is important.
I don't need it. You finish it up.
No. You need that.
I got
My
a long
father
night
would
ahead.
say,
I need it.
when I'm gone and you're with your friends,
Yes.
at Sunday supper or thinking of the great times we had as a family, just raise your glass and say to your memory. So to your father's memory, and to my mother,
wow.
my father's memory, and my
Well, I
mom's,
love that.
and to all of our great friends that gave us and made us who we are.
Yeah, we should be, and we are. Well, I'm so thankful that I guess that's why I'm doing this podcast, these chapters, and having somebody like you and the various guests in the future I'm going to have on. I'm going to bring back a few people that are still around that got to experience what it was. And then, of course, we do have to end on a tragic note. Spending most of my life in the Palisades and after the fire, Palisades was a small community where most of Hollywood, all the creative force always hung out. And in fact, just another teaser, the first people that ever got me drunk, you know who it was? Lee Marvin and Steve McQueen. I was 12 years old. I'm going to leave with that little teaser. And if I remember, I'll continue next time. But as we always say at the end of our little show, so we can go eat our Italian dinner, keep the change.
I don't laugh because life is easy. I laugh because I see the mind can sell you stories, then charge you rent to be free. They call it normal to panic, to worship the loudest fear. But a thought becomes a prison the moment you hold it near. So I ask one honest question, not to win, just to wake. Is this truth I'm believing, or just memory and ache? I use humor like a flashlight in a room full of certain lies. Comic sense isn't comedy, it's sight with a smile in its eyes. Critical thinking is mercy, consciousness is breath and release. If you can laugh at the story, you can finally step into peace. Sometimes I'm quiet and listening to a child asking, is love safe? I don't fix him with answers, I stay and give him space. So laugh, not to escape, but to see what's always been true. Nothing real is against you, and life is quietly loving you. Does my smile confuse you, or remind you you're here? Does my smile confuse you, or